All right, guys, how's everybody doing today? Gonna get through this quickly because the last few days have been really busy. So we're gonna get back on it. So I'll start with our BSC launch. So we just got news this morning that all verifications on the BSC chain have been completed. Our BSC scan profile is complete, which is what we were waiting for because there were so many scam coins that were called Bank Social on the BSC side that it took us some extra verification because there were so many scammers and scam coins. We had to prove that we were the real Bank Social, and so that just happened this morning. So we're not 24 hours away from launch, but we're probably about 72 hours away from launch. So just to recap, you will need to get your airdrop. The airdrop will not happen immediately. The airdrop will happen about 2 to 3 weeks after the BSC launch is done. What we're doing is we're holding back about 18% of the tokens, and those tokens will get redistributed pro rata to everybody on the ERC side. So we've taken two snapshots. We may or may not have already taken the first snapshot, but we'll take another snapshot about 2 weeks in. And so if you reduce your token count on the ERC side, then you will not be eligible for any BSC tokens. If you keep or increase your ERC token size, then you will be eligible. So just keep that in mind if you have any questions about the BSC launch. So BSC launch is confirmed, and it will be done within 72 hours. The way we'll announce that is we'll launch, we'll check everything out. We won't really tell anybody, and then we'll make an official announcement on our socials and Twitters once we confirm everything is working. But we won't have a countdown like we did last time. So just an FYI on that. We've got our. I know that a lot of people have been asking about the price bot. It's shilling another coin. We can either turn that off or we can leave it on until our price bot is finished. It's in its final testing. I've sent some screenshots out to a couple people. There were a couple screenshots we posted yesterday. So we're going to have our own price bot with our own custom features and our own custom chart that we built ourselves. So much cleaner, much nicer. And it's going to be using the coin market cap data. One of my big qualms with the price bot that we had was that it was only using Uniswap data. And the problem with only using Uniswap data is that it doesn't give you the actual blended price that you see in your wallets, because all the wallets use coin market cap data. So we decided to rebuild the bot from scratch, 100% from scratch. And that bot is now going to be the official Bank Social price chart. So we'll be releasing that probably within 24 hours. So if you guys don't want to see that other chart, we can take it down. I think it's every now and then it pushes a coin out there, news, a coin, whatever. So we can take that down. We'll have some announcements coming out about the wallet. We've got a bunch of screenshots that we're going to be releasing, possibly a beta test. Going to be opening a beta test for that, so be watching socials for that. But the wallet is we've gotten it to the point to where we're ready to start releasing screenshots and more information on that. So be looking out. We do have some news on some partnerships, some big partnerships. So I think the biggest partnership that we can announce is that we've been speaking with Polygon MATIC directly. And Polygon MATIC is very interested in what we're doing, very interested in us coming onto the Polygon MATIC chain. And so we've started the process of developing for the Polygon MATIC chain, as well as a partnership that we will be announcing in the coming weeks with Polygon MATIC directly. So that's very, very big news for all of you guys that don't know who Polygon MATIC is. Polygon MATIC is one of the top 10 blockchains in the world. The reason why we've chosen them is because they play very nicely with Solidity and the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, which makes it easy for us to bridge into their ecosystem for our staking. and our merchant services, loan products, all that kind of stuff, which will be done on the MATIC chain. MATIC has a valuation of over $7 billion. So it's a very, very massive community over there. Some of the benefits of having MATIC as part of our ecosystem for the staking is that transactions are sub-second, 1 to 2 second max, and the price for transaction is extremely low. We're talking about tenths of a penny, hundredths of a penny for transaction fees. So we feel like MATIC is really the future of what Bank Social and our ecosystem is going to finalize with. And so we're very, very excited to be working through that partnership and to be working on the announcement directly with Polygon MATIC. So that announcement will come out on their socials, on their news channels. So it will be an official announcement that we're working together on together. So very, very big news out of there. We also have a solar deal that a couple of the guys were on the call last night with me on. We've identified a part of the United States that we're going to be doing this in. We've identified a roadmap for execution. I'm not going to put any dates and timelines out there for this because this is actual lending. So we just need to make sure that we have everything crossed and dotted. But we will be making an official announcement very, very soon. The name of the company, I'll go ahead and just talk to you guys about that. The name of the company is Better Earth Solar. We're going to be the first in the world to be doing this. So Better Earth Solar is one of the largest solar installers in the country. They do several hundred installs per month, and we're going to be rolling out a pilot with them in California for solar loans in California. So we're very, very excited about that, bringing some additional utility to the token. So very, very excited about that. The third announcement that I want to make is that we are working through a legal entity to solidify our lending base. So I won't go into too much on that because we've done some very unique things there, and I don't want to give anybody any insight or a heads up into how they can just piggyback off of the progress that we've made to utilize all the strategies that we're doing to copycat us. So I won't be going into too much there, but that's some very, very big news that I wanted to announce for everybody. So that's pretty much, I wanted to keep it brief. I wanted to keep it concise. Some very, very big news out of there. I hope you guys can understand how massive the Polygon news is and how massive the solar partnership news is. Again, with MATIC, the goal is to get to MATIC for our staking, merchant services, and our NFT loan products. We've been talking with their development groups, and everything that we're looking at doing is possible on the MATIC chain. Again, low fees, fast transactions. A very, very, very good thing for us to be partnering with MATIC, and also getting that official announcement out with MATIC over the next few weeks as we start to integrate some of these initial integrations with MATIC. They've agreed to do some official announcements on their side. So very, very big news there. And I think equally big news is the partnership that we're going to have with Better Earth Solar, one of the largest solar installers in the United States. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and we'll get into our Q&A session where you guys can ask us some questions really quick about what's going on, and we'll wrap that up quickly so we can get back to it.
All right, John, we had two submitted earlier. I'll go ahead and read them off to you here. I messaged them to you as well. If you hadn't already taken a screen.
I did see them. Hold on a second. I'll answer them, or I'll answer the ones that I feel we need to answer, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as the reporting, because this is not a traditional type of bank where you have accountants and you're pulling data from islands of information. This is going to be something that we can provide roll-up tracking in near real time with NFTs and solutions like GraphQL that will allow us to build queries around the blockchain and give us the ability to report in near real time. So the thought and idea, we're getting so far away from traditional models where you're looking at quarterly and you have to wait for everything to be pulled together and tabulated and computated. We don't have to live in that world anymore. We're past that stage. We've evolved past that stage, and we'll continue to evolve. But with the blockchain, we really have the ability at any given point in time to do a roll up on NFTs, to do a roll up on our merchant services chains, and give a real time or a near real time view of the current status of the entire ecosystem. And so that's really more our goal than any type of quarterly or third, financial reporting that's quarterly or anything like that. As far as auditing, we'll continue. I don't know that we have a solidified solution for that yet, third party auditing. But the goal will definitely be, I think, because this is so new, going to your traditional financial auditing company and asking them to audit the blockchain, they might not have the expertise. And so we'll just have to continue to look at that and see what that entails. But definitely will be something that's on the blockchain that's near real time, and that we can use tools like GraphQL to report on. As far as the interest and the periodicity of the distribution, we're looking at it from a couple different perspectives. They won't be real time. Interest distributions will not be real time, just because of the nature of fees and costs to get stablecoin out, get money transferred in with fiat, and get stablecoin out. So that will be done on a periodic basis. It will be probably not based on time, more so based on a value of the pool. So when an interest stake gets to a certain value level and it makes sense to distribute to all the token holders, that's the time at which we would do that. So there'll be a couple different ways for you to utilize those funds. Because of the way fees work on these platforms, on the EVM platforms, there will be some unique ways for us to utilize this to settle with merchants and do some interesting stuff. So I won't go too much into that, but distributions will be periodic. Those were those two questions, Michael.
Yep. Covered well. All right, for everybody else that's in the chat here, just use the raise hand feature and we will unmute you. You'll have to unmute yourself and then speak. I'm not seeing any questions. Are you seeing any raised hands in the chat?
I saw one, but it went away pretty quickly.
No,
I think that's great. When people don't have questions, it means they understand what's going on.
Yeah, it means you did a good job of explaining. Let me see. Let me scan chat here, see if there's any others popped up.
I did see some questions about BSC, the BSC token launch in the chat, and some misinformation about it. So it's not just early token holders. There's no timeline with regard to how early you got in as to if you will get BSC tokens. The second snapshot done will really determine who does and who does not get tokens from the BSC set aside. So let's say you don't own any tokens now, but you get some before the BSC snap, you're eligible. The second BSC snap, you're eligible to get tokens because you've increased your bag size. So the people who will not, the only people who will not be getting tokens are people that decrease bag size between the first and second snapshots. So I saw a little bit of misinformation in the main chat about that. So.
Yep, absolutely. That's good to have. Still not seeing any hands here. You want to talk
Yeah.
about the market from a sheer, market perspective?
There was somebody who just asked a question.
Hey, what's up, guys? I got a question.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So my question is if you don't touch your ERC20 Be Social and you buy in at the Binance launch, if you happen to sell some of your Binance coins, does that affect your airdrop on your ERC20 token bag? Like if you don't touch your ERC20?
I'm just gonna refer you to the support.banksocial.io communication that we've had out. I've been very specific on what we can tell you and what we will tell you and all the information you need to know. So if there's something that's not covered in that support IO document, that means that it doesn't pertain to anything. So I'll just kind of leave that where it is. The only tokens that are getting tracked are the ERC20 tokens.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, first, guys, thanks so much for the hard work. The progress is really, really cool. Could you talk a little bit more to the Polygon partnership? I know you want to keep it close to the vest, but I think that's something that's really, really exciting. So maybe you could go into a little bit more about why that would be such a huge benefit for us. Thanks.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I touched on it a little bit. I don't know how much deeper, but I can recap and maybe expand upon it slightly. So Polygon MATIC is a second or third generation, depending on how you want to look at it. I would more so. I don't really consider Bitcoin a first generation, but some people do. So you can look at it as a second or third generation blockchain where they've developed it from a top down with proof of stake. And so the way proof of stake versus proof of work works is proof of stake utilizes staking pools, much smaller, rolls up, confirmation, data confirmation, blockchain confirmation, to reduce the amount of work that it takes and the cost that it takes, the actual machine computation cycles that it takes to confirm a block transaction. And it relies on the staking pools being large enough with enough stakers in them to confirm those transactions within that stake pool before having to roll it out to all the other stake pools. And so when you have that, you can do transactions much faster because you don't need a consensus across a wider network, and you don't need that block to be confirmed across a much wider network. It can be confirmed in a much smaller pool, confirmed much faster and much cheaper. And so when we look at what our goals are moving forward, specifically with the merchant services and the lending interest distribution part of things, we really start to get to a position to where we're trying to really figure out how we can make transactions faster with the merchant services specifically, and how we can get them much lower cost. And that's really in reference to both merchant services and interest redistributions. So when we look at that, looking across the ecosystem, the only other potential solution is theoretically when Ethereum 2 comes out. But the good thing about being on Polygon MATIC is that since it's EVM compatible, anything we build for Polygon MATIC can also be brought back to the Ethereum side. And so if we decide in the future that we want to expand what we've done in Polygon MATIC back into Ethereum, we can also do that. And so there's a lot of cross compatibility here that really makes this move to Polygon MATIC a smart and a in my opinion, a well thought out planned move, because it does give us the ability to bridge back once Ethereum 2, if Ethereum 2 does make a move and does go live. But other than Ethereum 2 going live, the only other solution that we found that is both secured in nature against it's got enough people on it to where a 51% attack would be, we talked about that with the developers yesterday. A 51% attack would be extremely hard on a blockchain like MATIC because of the amount of users on it, the diversity of the users on it. You've got a lot of these earlier chains or early stage life cycle chains that have so few users on them that it's really a risk. They might be technologically, equivalent to some of these other solutions out there, but they're just so small that it's a very, very high risk of having an issue because of the 51% attack. And so we feel like Polygon MATIC checks off significant amounts of those check marks with regards to security, with regards to scalability, with regards to portability, with regards to low cost, with regards to fast transactions. It really is a complete solution for what we're looking at. And when we talked to the Polygon MATIC team yesterday, they were, I think, both impressed and excited to be working with a group of guys who understood the value that Polygon MATIC can bring to the table. And we're both equally excited about getting in front of it. So about the partnership, that's kind of the technology side and why we've chosen Polygon MATIC over some of these other chains. From the partnership side, we've already gotten a commitment from Polygon that they would be willing to, in conjunction with our marketing teams, make announcements of the partnership on their social platforms, their news channels, so that we could really expound upon or create additional volume around the number of eyeballs that see that news going out. And so MATIC has a huge following. They do millions of transactions per day, a very high volume. They have a very high market cap. So a lot of people watching MATIC will be able to see Bank Social getting on MATIC, which is very exciting, I think, for the entire community. In addition, they're working hand in hand with us on the development and the integrations. We've been talking with their development groups about the opportunities. We've got another meeting with them first thing next week to review the ecosystem proposal that we have on how we can bring portions of our ecosystem and what the phased rollouts are for those into MATIC. And then they will be making an announcement once we have our ecosystem finalized, or at least the first few phases of our ecosystem finalized, and we're ready to start our first implementation on MATIC. That at that point is when we'd be looking at making that announcement officially, both from the Polygon MATIC side and from the Bank Social side. And for right now, that's really all I can expound upon.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, you talked about lending for the solar grids. What are some of the other major targets you're looking at lending for? Just like automotive stuff like that.
Okay, so the second very, very, we're going to try to get out the gate very quickly is so a specific use case is going to be lending for a certain type of rental property use in a certain small region that's been targeted for many reasons. I won't go into what and why, but going into essentially a mortgage type of solution, but not a mortgage type of solution that's geared at homeowners, more for rental. And so we've identified an area for a small pilot program. I don't want to give a timeline on when and how that's going to roll out, but as we do roll that out alongside of this solar pilot that we're doing, we will give more information. So the first stage is solidifying our legal requirements in those areas, and I'm guessing that over the next week or so, those will be done. We've picked this geographic region specifically for our ability to expedite things, and moving into that region or moving into that that specific area gives us the ability to create a model that once we build a successful model in a specific region, kind of the same thing we're doing with solar, it's the same strategy for both. When we talked to Better Earth, we told them we wanted to have a handful of salespeople that were focused on this, roll out a pilot test program to do about 20 loans. That way, once we were done with the pilot, we could look back, do a post-mortem, figure out any gaps, look at our software that we built, figure out any gaps, and then look at turning on the factor to scale it, which is really just now releasing it to more people, as opposed to let's just go out, release it to the world. We get hundreds of requests. We try to figure out which ones we're going to do. We don't want to do that. We prefer to be very, very targeted in our initial rollouts, extremely precise in who and what we're going after, so that we can have measured results, measured post-mortems that we can review. And so, yeah, initially, those are the first two use cases that we're working on in parallel. There is no partnership specifically for the second use case of lending for the rentals, just because we're going to be doing that directly. But for the solar, we don't want to become a solar a company, so we are utilizing a solar installer to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
Some similar partnerships that are done with real estate companies, real estate brokerages on the lending side for the rentals. But those will be more generic because of the geographic area that we're going to. Those will be more generic. There's probably a couple handfuls of brokerages in the area that we've identified, and so we'll just we'll reach out to as many of those as we can, because it is such a small region. Whereas with the solar, we wanted to pick a specific company to work with, so that we could really hone in on getting those 20-30 loans done, securitized, and then post-mortem as streamlined, with the least amount of outside cases, versus just our, what our straight line case was.
All right.
Got any more questions?
I've got one, Mike, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So my question is about liquidity and lending volume. So I think these are great ideas that you guys have. I think it's probably going to get pretty big. I mean, I think a lot of us share that same view. My question is, play out this scenario for me. If say our lending exceeds our liquidity volume, can you talk about what our strategy is? Are we going to try
that will never occur. That will never occur. And the reason why that will never occur is because we're not going to be a leveraged lending institution. I'm not a fan of leveraged lending. A lot of the other, there are people that have asked about things like SALT and Celsius. Both of those, they don't do asset-backed lending, period, but they do leveraged lending. And I'm not a fan of leveraged lending, especially in crypto. I think the math is just so risky that, for example, you leverage lend against ETH 3 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden your portfolio is 50%. You have 50% less leverage, or 100, depending on how you look at it. If you're looking at it from today's standpoint, looking back, you've got 100% less leverage than you did last week. So, or 3 or 4 weeks ago. So no leverage lending whatsoever. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics on exactly how we're going to get around that, but I will give some details around just no leverage lending, you know, stabilizing volatility in tokens like Ethereum by utilizing stablecoin, and just those two practices in conjunction with staking will give us the reduced risk, not eliminate risk, but reduced risk that we're looking for, as far as pegging to an underlying currency that will be used for our liquidity lending. So if we've got 10 million in liquidity, I mean, just look at, like, for example, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have listened to the community. No offense, community, but we locked our liquidity and we put ourselves in a position to where when we were out the gate, we had $10 million in liquidity available for lending. Okay. The first couple days. By locking that, okay, what we've done is two things. We made two mistakes when we locked that. Okay. And this was all just to satisfy people who ended up selling anyway, quite frankly. So we I don't know if these people did it on purpose and they knew, they had the foresight, but I'll be very frank in saying that we didn't see this until after. But what happened was, by locking liquidity, first we lose access to the liquidity. That's not as big of a deal. But by locking it in, all that ETH that we had in there that was worth 10 million or 5 million or 6 million is now only worth 3 million. Why? Because the market of the ETH dropped, right? So we with the BSC launch specifically, and once we come out of the locked period on the token, on the underlying token, we will relock the tokens, but we won't lock them in the liquidity pools on Uniswap. We'll take them out and we'll lock them into other lockers, possibly into other smart contracts that will be managing liquidity lending, but we'll do so in a way that minimizes the risk of volatility in the underlying asset. So for example, going to stablecoin like US dollar tethers or USDC. So I hope that answers the question.
Part of it, because I guess kind of what I'm wondering, let's say our liquidity plus stake is 20 million, our current lending holdings are 18 million. Are we only going to go the additional 2 million in lending? Are we going to look to roll our current loans, package them, and then regain that liquidity? Are we looking for outside investors? So I guess my question is, let's say we tap all of our liquidity for loans. Are we still going to be able to expand our lending, or are we going to cap it there? Kind of, maybe you can tell me about that.
So all those are potential scenarios. So we will attempt to package loans and sell them on the secondary market. That doesn't always happen as fast as we may want to expand lending. And so there could be a scenario where we tap out lending for a period of time. And so we really, more than how do we just keep growing and leveraging and leveraging and leveraging, it's more how do we stabilize, because I'm not a big fan of how the current banking systems work, where you have this, it's not even leveraged when you're taking a tenth of a dollar and you're allowed to lend that out 100 times or whatever the number is. Fractional banking. I'm not a big fan of that, and I don't think that's the way of the future to stabilize economies. I just in me don't feel that that's the way. But yeah, all those scenarios are possible. Packaging loans, specifically on the solar and the mortgage side. With autos, it's a little bit harder, which is why we're not really focusing on auto loans right now. But there is a secondary market for prime and subprime bundled loan packages, where we can bundle a series of loans, sell them off at a premium, and then recover those that liquidity pool and continue to lend out again. And so partnering with a couple banks, they're not going to really talk to us until we have packages to give them, especially since we're not a bank that's done this before, or a lending institution that's sold to them before. They're going to want to see a package of loans They're going to want to see the risks associated with those loans, do their due diligence on those package of loans, and then look at purchasing. With solar, our understanding is with solar, that's a little bit more feasible than it is with mortgages, just because the solar loans are a lot less, and there's not as many people out there that are buying those. So there's a smaller pool of guys, much easier to get in contact with those people, and so that's part of our roadmap. Not initially, but as we get those loans, we get those first package of loans out, then we'll do the postmortem on them, and take those to a secondary market to see what type of interest there is.
Perfect. Great answer. Yeah, the leveraging was my main concern. So that was a great answer. I'm glad to hear it.
Zero leveraging. We will do no leveraging. It would be better for us. It would be better for us to hold at our current pool volume and just distribute interest to everybody to where your token continues to grow. And at the same time, you continue to get interest back on the loans that we have with 10,000 holders or 20,000 holders, however many people it is, than to leverage and then have some market correction wipe out a significant portion of our both underlying asset pool and liquidity. So we definitely don't want any type of leverage to minimize our risk.
Absolutely. Thank you, President.
So I'm going to do another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap this up, guys. This one went over a little bit more than we wanted to, but I think that's pretty much all the questions we had for today. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks everybody for being here. A lot of big news out today. Make sure you spread the word. I think the Polygon MATIC and the solar news are huge, and they should help people understand that this is something that's real, something that's going to happen for real, along with the mortgage lending, business mortgage lending that we're looking at doing. So some very big news coming out today. Appreciate everybody for being on. All the love and all the power. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day wherever you are, and go make it a great day.
We have our why.